The fire crackles, casting restless shadows across the canyon walls. Your breath comes in short bursts. Something enormous shifts in the darkness beyond the flame's reach. Then you see them. Two luminous eyes, each the size of a human fist, hover in the void like malevolent stars. The growl begins as a tremor you feel in your ribcage before your ears register the sound. Your grip tightens on the wooden spear, its fire-hardened tip polished smooth through countless hours of preparation. But confronting those eyes, your weapon feels fragile as kindling. The creature emerges into the firelight. 7-inch fangs catch the flame's glow, curving downward from its upper jaw like twin bone daggers. Muscles surge beneath tawny fur as it moves with lethal elegance. This is Smilodon fatalis, the saber-toothed cat. 600 pounds of evolutionary perfection honed for a single purpose: killing. Your band of 20 freezes. Children whimper. Even your most seasoned hunters feel their hearts pounding against their ribs. This predator has haunted your people for generations, transforming night into a domain of terror. One sweep of those massive paws can crush bone. Those saber teeth can pierce a bison's throat in heartbeats. But something remarkable unfolds. Instead of scattering in panic, your group moves with practiced precision. The strongest hunters advance spears angled outward in formation. Others snatch burning branches from the fire. Children and elders retreat to the circle's center. This isn't chaos. It's choreography, perfected through countless encounters. The saber-tooth begins to circle, calculating. Its nostrils flare, absorbing the scent of 20 humans, functioning as one organism. The wall of spear points follows its movement. Flames dance in its face whenever it ventures too close. For a moment that stretches into eternity, predator and prey lock gazes. But who is truly the prey? The cat snarls, flashing those terrible teeth one final time. Then it dissolves back into darkness, yielding to an opponent it cannot comprehend: organized human intelligence. You've just witnessed something extraordinary. Not humans fleeing from a predator, but a predator retreating from humans. This scene played out 15,000 years ago in what we now call California, represents humanity's greatest survival story. How did small, vulnerable humans not merely survive, but ultimately outlast Earth's most fearsome predators? The answer lies not in our muscles or fangs, but in something far more powerful: our minds. Imagine a lion. Now give it teeth, like curved railroad spikes. Bulk up its front legs until they look like a wrestler's arms. Add specialized neck muscles, thick as tree trunks. Congratulations, you've just built a saber-toothed cat. But these weren't the clumsy, dim-witted brutes Hollywood portrays. Smilodon was an engineering marvel perfected over millions of years of evolution. Those famous fangs, they were precision instruments, not crude clubs. The tips were sharp as surgical scalpels, the edges serrated like steak knives. They slid between neck vertebrae with surgical precision, severing arteries and windpipes in one devastating bite. Here's what made them truly terrifying. Smilodon could open its jaws 110 degrees. A modern lion manages 65 degrees. Picture unhinging your jaw like a snake. That's what these cats could do. This wasn't showing off. It was necessary to clear those massive fangs for the killing bite. North America hosted 3 distinct species, each more fearsome than the last. Smilodon gracchalis, the delicate one, still weighed 360 kilos heavier than most modern lions. Smilodon fatalis, our California resident, averaged 600 kilos of muscle and bone. But South America's Smilodon was the heavyweight champion. Some males topped 900-pound boy, standing 4 feet tall at the shoulder. That's bigger than the largest tigers alive today. These cats weren't built for marathons. They were ambush specialists, waiting in tall grass or behind rocks for unsuspecting prey. When they struck hard. Those massive forelegs weren't just for show. They were grappling tools designed to wrestle prey to the ground. Once those arms locked around you, escape was nearly impossible. Recent fossil analysis reveals something else. These predators were smart. Brain cavity measurements show larger frontal lobes than modern big cats, suggesting enhanced problem-solving abilities. They hunted in small family groups, coordinating attacks on massive prey like ground sloths and young mammoths. But here's the plot twist that changes everything. Their greatest strength was also their greatest weakness. Those spectacular fangs that made them apex predators. They were fragile. One bad angle during a strike, one kick from desperate prey, and those sabers could snap like icicles. A saber-tooth with broken fangs was a dead saber-tooth. This vulnerability would prove crucial when they encountered an opponent that fought back with intelligence rather than instinct. Us. Let's be honest about our ancestors. Chances in a straight fight with a saber-toothed dead cat. 0. Absolutely 0. A 150-lobular human versus a 600-lobular killing machine isn't a fight. It's a physics equation with a predictable outcome. Smilden's paw swipe generated enough force to crack a bison's skull. Its bite, while weaker than a lion's, in raw pressure delivered those saber teeth with the precision of twin surgical strikes. Our ancestors had what exactly? No claws, pathetic teeth, muscles that would make a chimp laugh. The physical mismatch was almost comical. Smilden could accelerate from rest to 30 miles per hour in 3 bounds. Humans were built for endurance, not speed. Our top sprint barely matches their casual lope. In terms of natural weapons, we came to a knife fight armed with, well, nothing. But evolution plays a long game, and it had given humans something unprecedented in Earth's history. A brain that could outthink instinct. Consider the math of survival. A saber-toothed cat needed to get within striking distance about 10 feet to deploy those deadly fangs, but a human with a spear effectively extended their reach to 8 feet. Add the ability to throw that spear accurately, and suddenly the killing zone shifted. The predator had to cross 20 feet of dangerous ground to reach its prey. More importantly, humans didn't fight as individuals. We fought as coordinated groups. 20 humans with spears created a 160-foot perimeter of sharp points. That's not a target. That's a tactical problem no amount of muscle can solve. The cognitive gap was even more decisive. Smilden operated on instinct, refined over millions of years. See, prey, stalk, prey, kill prey. Humans operated on intelligence that could adapt in real time. See, predator, analyze behavior, develop counter-strategy, teach others, refine approach. Here's what really tipped the scales. We could learn from every encounter. A saber-tooth that failed to catch prey simply tried again, using the same tactics. A human who survived an attack shared that knowledge with others who improved upon it and passed it forward. Each generation got smarter about predator behavior, while the predators remained locked in their evolutionary programming. This mismatch physical weakness, paired with cognitive superiority, forced our ancestors to develop something unprecedented in nature technology as a survival strategy. And it started with humanity's first and greatest invention. Picture the moment everything changed. Somewhere in Africa, 400,000 years ago, one of our ancestors didn't run from a wildfire. They carried it home. That single act of courage rewrote the rules of predator and prey forever. Fire didn't just cook food or provide warmth. It created humanity's first force field against the terrors of the night. For millions of years, darkness belonged to the predators. Saber-toothed cats with eyes designed for low-light hunting owned the night. Then, suddenly, desperately, magnificently, humans said no. Archaeological evidence from Kesem Cave in Israel shows systematic fire use dating back 400,000 years. But here's what the charred remains don't capture: the psychological revolution fire created. For the first time in Earth's history, a prey species could extend daylight into darkness, creating zones of safety that predators dared not breach. The chemistry is simple. Every child who's watched a campfire knows flames are mesmerizing. But for a night-hunting predator, fire was sensory overload. The crackling sounds masked approaching footsteps. Smoke confused their incredible sense of smell. The dancing light destroyed their night vision, turning their greatest advantage into a liability. And the heat. No fur-covered predator enjoys temperatures that humans could tolerate by simply backing away a few feet. Our ancestors quickly learned fire's tactical applications. They didn't just maintain one fire, they created defensive perimeters. Archaeological sites reveal evidence of multiple fire pits arranged in strategic circles. Imagine a saber-toothed cat approaching such a camp. Every direction offers dancing flames, unpredictable shadows, and alert humans with burning branches. But the real genius lay in psychological warfare. Humans discovered that predators have an instinctive fear of wildfire, an evolutionary alarm that screams, "Flee." By controlling fire, humans hijacked this ancient fear response. A burning branch waved at a stalking cat triggered the same panic as an approaching forest fire. The evidence speaks volumes. Fossilized campsites from the Pleistocene show burn patterns indicating continuous fire maintenance flames that never died. Some sites revealed torch-making debris, evidence our ancestors created portable fire for nighttime activities. They weren't just using fire, they were weaponizing it. Think about what this meant for human development. Before fire, our ancestors lived half their lives in terror, huddled together through endless nights. After fire, they could extend productive hours, tell stories, plan tomorrow's hunt, and, crucially, sleep with both eyes closed. Fire was humanity's first declaration of independence from the natural order, but it was just the beginning. The spear in your hands isn't just a sharp stick. It's 300,000 years of engineering excellence refined through countless life or death field tests. And when German archaeologists uncovered the Schörning and spears in 1995, they discovered something that rewrote prehistory. These weren't crude poles with pointed ends. They were sophisticated weapons that would make a modern engineer proud. Each spear was carved from carefully selected spruce wood, chosen for its perfect balance of flexibility and strength. The tips were fiery, hardened to the consistency of horn. But here's the genius part. They were weighted like Olympic javelins, with the balance point calculated for maximum throwing distance. Think about what this means. While saber-toothed cats were evolving bigger teeth, humans were evolving better technology. And technology evolves faster than biology ever could. The first spears were thrusting weapons requiring dangerous close-quarters combat. But by 400,000 years ago, humans had learned to throw them with deadly accuracy. Physics gave us an incredible advantage. A thrown spear travels at 100 feet per second. That's faster than any saber tooth could dodge. Suddenly, humans could kill from 60 feet away, while predators needed to close within 10 feet. But the real revolution came with what archaeologists call the distance multiplier effect. A human with a throwing spear wasn't just dangerous at 60 feet. They were dangerous at any distance less than that. A stalking saber-tooth had to calculate not just where the human was, but where they could move and still launch a lethal strike. The archaeological record reveals continuous innovation. By 30,000 years ago, humans invented the atlatl, a spear thrower that increased velocity by 60% and range by 100%. Later came specialized point designs, wide blades for maximum bleeding, narrow points for penetrating thick hide, barbed designs that stayed in the wound. Here's what made human weapons truly terrifying to predators. They learned. Every failed hunt, every broken spear, every successful defense taught lessons that improved the next generation of weapons. Smilodon's fangs remained unchanged for millions of years. Human spears improved every century. The evidence from kill sites is revealing. Mammoth skeletons pierced by multiple spears show coordinated hunting strategies, but defensive weapons left different marks. Single precisely placed wounds in predator bones suggesting calculated self-defense rather than hunting. These weapons did more than protect. They changed human psychology. A human with a spear walks differently than one without. They stand taller, range farther, take calculated risks. They stop thinking like prey and start thinking like predators. And once humans started thinking like predators, the real game began. A lone human encountering a saber-toothed cat was a meal. 20 humans working together. That was an army. And this transformation from individual weakness to collective strength represents one of evolution's greatest success stories. Watch a modern wolf pack hunt, and you'll see sophisticated coordination. But human cooperation went beyond anything nature had produced. We didn't just hunt together. We thought together, creating a collective intelligence that no single predator could match. The evidence comes from Pliene campsites across the Americas. Living floors show specialized activity, areas tool-making. Here, food preparation there. Defensive positions along the perimeter. This wasn't random clustering. It was urban planning, prehistoric style. Every member had a role. Every role had a purpose. And every purpose served survival. Here's what made human groups terrifying to predators. Unpredictability. A saber-tooth could learn that a lone antelope runs left when startled. But humans, one might throw a spear while another waves fire. A third might scream to distract while others attack from behind. We were the first species to weaponize chaos as a defensive strategy. Archaeological evidence reveals sophisticated communication systems. Cut marks on bones show standardized butchering techniques taught across generations. Tool styles spread across vast distances, proving information networks that spanned continents. When one group discovered a new anti-predator tactic, that knowledge spread like wildfire. The math of group defense was compelling. A single human might spot a stalking predator 30% of the time, but 20 humans with designated lookouts. The detection rate approached 100%. Our children's sharp eyes and elders' experience, and you had a surveillance system that never slept. But the real advantage was psychological. Predators are risk calculators, hardwired to avoid injury. A broken bone means starvation. Facing a coordinated group with spears and fire, even a successful attack might result in crippling wounds. For a solitary hunter like Smileyodon, those odds simply didn't compute. We see this in the fossil record. Smilodon bones from areas of high human density show fewer healing injuries, suggesting they avoided dangerous confrontations. Meanwhile, human sites show increasing boldness with camps in open areas rather than defensive caves. The transformation was complete. Through cooperation, the weakest individuals in the Pleistocene became its most formidable collective force. But strength alone wasn't enough. To truly dominate humans, needed to get inside their enemy's head. Your life depends on knowing the difference between a rustle caused by wind and one caused by a stalking cat. Our ancestors didn't just learn this difference. They became the world's first animal behaviorists, studying predators with scientific precision born of necessity. Modern wildlife biologists use GPS collars and infrared cameras. Platoan humans use something far more powerful, thousands of years of accumulated observation. They knew that saber-tooths hunted at dawn and dusk when shadows provided cover. They recognized territorial markings and learned to read them like street signs. Danger, active female, with cubs. But our ancestors went beyond observation. They conducted experiments. Archaeological sites reveal predator tests, arrangements of bones, and scent marks designed to gauge territory boundaries. They learned that saber-tooths avoided areas with human scent for days after encounters. This intelligence became tactical advantage. The real breakthrough was understanding predator psychology. Saber-tooths, despite their fearsome appearance, were fundamentally conservative hunters. Those massive fangs were fragile. One break meant death by starvation. This made them cautious, preferring guaranteed kills over risky confrontations. Humans exploited this caution mercilessly. They learned that noise and unpredictable movement triggered retreat. They discovered that saber-tooths avoided areas where pack members had been killed, possibly recognizing danger through scent markers. Most importantly, they realized that predators have comfort zones. Push them outside those zones, and they retreat rather than attack. The evidence appears in settlement patterns. Early sites huddle in defensible positions. Later sites sprawl confidently across open ground, suggesting humans had learned to manage predator risk rather than hide from it. Tool assemblages show specialized implements for noise-making and intimidation, the first psychological weapons. This behavioral intelligence created a feedback loop. The more humans understood predators, the more effectively they could avoid or confront them. Each generation's survival literally depended on passing down this knowledge. Children learned to identify saber-tooth tracks before they could properly walk. By the late Pleistocene, humans had compiled a prehistoric encyclopedia of predator behavior. We knew their hunting grounds, their seasonal movements, their preferred prey, their territorial limits. We had transformed from reactive prey into proactive managers of predator risk. But knowing your enemy was only half the battle. The other half was choosing where to fight. Location, location, location. This modern real estate mantra saved countless prehistoric lives. Our ancestors didn't just stumble upon safe camping spots. They selected them with the strategic precision of military commanders. Fly over clean archaeological sites today, and you'll notice a pattern. They cluster on elevated positions, hilltops, cliff edges, river bluffs. This wasn't aesthetic preference. It was survival strategy. Height meant sight lines, early warning, and defensive advantage. A saber-tooth might be invisible in tall grass, but not when you're looking down from 50 feet up. The genius lay in the details. Sites like Monteverde in Chile reveal sophisticated understanding of defensive terrain. Humans chose locations with natural barriers rivers on one side, cliffs on another, leaving only narrow approaches that could be monitored and defended. They were creating kill boxes before military science had a name for them. Water played a crucial role. Every major plane site sits near water, but not too near. Rivers provided drinking water and attracted prey, but also created noise that masked approaching predators. Our ancestors solved this by camping precisely close enough for easy access, but far enough that the sound of flowing water didn't compromise their acoustic early warning system. Archaeological evidence reveals increasing sophistication over time. Early sites show simple clearings with good visibility. Later sites feature modified landscapes, cleared approach routes that eliminated cover, strategic placement of noise-making debris like dry branches, even primitive alarm systems using suspended shells or bones. The most impressive sites show evidence of landscape engineering. At Sheringan, humans apparently maintained clearings around their camps, systematically removing vegetation the predators could use for cover. They created what military tacticians call kill zones, open areas where approaching threats had zero cover and maximum exposure to defensive weapons. Seasonal movement patterns tell another story. Humans tracked predator denning sites and avoided them during breeding seasons when saber-tooths were most aggressive. They knew which passes predators used for territorial patrol and chose alternate routes. This wasn't random wandering. It was strategic navigation based on predator intelligence. Cave selection followed similar logic. Not just any cave would do. Ideal defensive caves had narrow entrances that neutralized a predator's size advantage, multiple chambers, allowing retreat and, crucially, secondary exits. No one wanted to be trapped in a dead-end cave with a hungry saber-tooth blocking the only exit. These settlement strategies reveal profound intelligence. Our ancestors weren't just reacting to predator threats. They were anticipating them, planning for them, engineering solutions before problems arose. They had transformed landscape itself into a defensive weapon. For 10,000 years, humans and saber-toothed cats shared the Americas. This wasn't a brief encounter. It was an evolutionary marathon that shaped both species in ways we're only beginning to understand. The timeline itself tells a remarkable story. When the first humans crossed the Bering Land Bridge around 20,000 years ago, they entered a continent ruled by megafauna. Saber-tooths had been apex predators here for over 1 million years. They owned this land, and humans were the invasive species. But invasive species with a difference. Most animals entering new territories either adapt to existing predators or die. Humans did something unprecedented. They forced the predators to adapt to them. Archaeological evidence from the oldest American sites shows immediate adoption of anti-predator strategies perfected in Africa and Eurasia. The coexistence wasn't peaceful, but it was stable. For millennia, both species found a balance. Humans learned to exploit resources. Saber-tooths ignored small game shellfish plant foods. Saber-tooths continued focusing on megapora. When their hunting grounds overlapped, humans used their technological edge to avoid direct competition. Seasonal patterns emerged. During summer, when prey was abundant, both species could hunt without conflict. Winter brought desperation and increased encounters. Fossil evidence from this period shows more predator-inflicted injuries on human remains during cold months, suggesting resource competition intensified with scarcity. But something fascinating happened over those 10,000 years. Saber-toothed behavior began changing. Later, Pleistocene specimens showed dietary shifts, Less focus on megapora, more on medium-sized prey. Were they avoiding competition with increasingly effective human hunters? The evidence suggests yes. Human sights from this period reveal increasing confidence. Early American camps were small defensive temporary. By 15,000 years ago, we see larger settlements, permanent structures, even luxury items like decorated tools and jewelry. This wasn't a species in hiding. It was a species in ascendance. The relationship complexity appears in rock art. Cave paintings from this period sometimes depict saber-tooths, but not always as monsters. Some images suggest respect, even reverence. After 10,000 years of coexistence, these predators had become part of human cultural consciousness, dangerous neighbors rather than alien threats. Population dynamics tell the final chapter. Human numbers slowly increased throughout this period. Saber-tooth populations remained stable until about 13,000 years ago, then crashed catastrophically. The long game was ending, and humans were winning. But victory required one more element: proof. And that's exactly what archaeologists found in the most unlikely place. In 1969, construction workers in Los Angeles hit something unexpected. Bones. Not just any bones. Thousands of them, preserved in natural asphalt at Rancho La Brea. Among them was saber-toothed dead cats and, crucially, evidence of human activity that would revolutionize our understanding of predator-prey relationships. The tar pits were nature's perfect trap and preservation system. Animals stuck in the asphalt attracted predators who also became trapped over millennia. This created the world's most complete record of clean life. But it wasn't until recent technological advances that scientists discovered the human signatures hidden in these bones. Enter the age of 3D scanning and artificial intelligence. Researchers trained machine learning algorithms to recognize cut marks on bones with 94% accuracy. The V-shaped grooves, internal striations, and oblique angles were unmistakably human-made. And they appeared on saber-tooth bones dated to 15,200 years ago. These weren't random marks. The patterns showed systematic butchering, humans processing saber-tooth carcasses for meat, hide, and possibly ceremonial purposes. This reversed everything we thought we knew. Humans weren't just defending against these predators, they were hunting them. But the evidence goes deeper. Isotope analysis of human remains from the same period reveals dietary signatures. The ratios of carbon and nitrogen tell us what percentage of diet came from different sources. Some individuals show markers consistent with consuming carnivore meat, a dangerous practice unless you're confident in your hunting abilities. Geographic distribution patterns provide another clue. Saber-tooth fossils from areas of high human density show different mortality patterns than those from human-free zones. In human-occupied territories, fewer saber-tooths reached old age. Juvenile mortality increased. These patterns mirror what we see in modern ecosystems, where humans hunt apex predators. The timeline of extinction is perhaps most telling. Saber-tooths didn't disappear everywhere at once. They vanished, first from areas of highest human density, lingering in remote regions for thousands of years longer. In North America, they were gone by 13,000 years ago. In South America's remote areas, they survived until 8,200 years ago. Site-specific evidence adds detail to the story. At Cuva del Miladon, in Chile, saber-tooth remains appear in the same layers as sophisticated human tools. At Monte Verde, cut marks on megaporna bones show humans were competing directly for the same prey. Saber-tooths needed to survive. The bones tell a clear story. Humans didn't just defend against saber-toothed cats. They systematically outco-competed, occasionally hunted, and ultimately outlasted Earth's most specialized killing machines. The evidence was there all along, written in stone and bone, waiting for science to develop the tools to read it. The moment arrived when humans stopped running and started hunting. But how do you hunt a creature that can kill you with a single swipe? Our ancestors developed tactics so effective that modern military strategists would recognize them instantly. The breakthrough was realizing that Sabertooth's greatest weapon, those massive fangs, created a fatal vulnerability. Unlike modern cats that kill with a suffocating bite, Sabertooths needed precise positioning to deploy their sabers. They had to grapple, prey, position the head just right, then drive those teeth home. This took time. Time that humans exploited. Archaeological evidence reveals coordinated hunting strategies that would make Navy SEALs proud. The bait and switch. One group of humans would create noise and movement to draw the cat's attention, while others moved into striking position. The porcupine defense forming circles with spears pointing outward, creating an impenetrable hedge of sharp points. The fire drive using controlled burns to channel predators into killing zones. But the most devastating tactic was persistence. Hunting turned defensive. Humans couldn't outrun a saber-tooth, but we could outlast one. These ambush predators relied on explosive energy for quick kills, force them into extended confrontations, make them waste energy on false charges, and they quickly exhausted themselves. Evidence from kill sites shows humans learned to target specific vulnerabilities. Spear points concentrated on the rib cage, not to pierce the heart, but to damage lungs and reduce the cat's stamina. Leg wounds that wouldn't kill immediately, but would hunting ability. This wasn't about brave warriors facing down monsters. It was about intelligent humans dismantling a predator's ability to function. The psychological warfare was equally sophisticated. Humans discovered that saber-tooths, like all cats, were creatures of habit. Disrupt their routines, contaminate their marking sites, leave human scent on their regular paths, and you created stressed, mystic-grown predators. A nervous saber-tooth was a vulnerable saber-tooth. Tool specialization reveals tactical evolution. Early pleasing sites show general-purpose spears. Later sites feature specialized weapons, heavy thrusting spears for defensive lines, light throwing spears for distance attacks, barbed points designed to break off in wounds. Some sites even show primitive pike formations, long spears designed to receive charging predators. The final evolution was from defense to offense. By 15,000 years ago, we see evidence of humans actively hunting saber-tooths, not for food. Carnivore meat is stringy and parasitic for removal. These were search and destroy missions aimed at clearing territories of dangerous predators. Not all saber-tooths were created equal. Our ancestors faced 3 distinct species, each requiring different survival strategies. Understanding these differences meant the difference between life and death. Smiled-Ungrest was the welterweight, only 360 pounds of muscle and fang, but don't let the name fool you. Grest was faster than its larger cousins, more agile, possibly more intelligent. Fossil evidence suggests they hunted in larger groups, making them unpredictable and dangerous. Humans encountering Gressalis had to worry not just about the cat they could see, but the ones they couldn't. Enter Smilodon fatalis, the iconic saber-tooth of North America. At 600 yards, it was the perfect predator for taking down horses, bison, and ground sloths. But that size came with limitations. Fatalis needed specific hunting conditions, broken terrain for ambush, large prey for energy efficiency, and solo hunting territories. Humans learned to avoid these kill boxes or transform them through fire and clearing. Then there was the monster. Smilodon popule grew 50% larger than its North American cousin. Some males reached 900 kilos. Imagine a grizzly bear with saber teeth. But bigger isn't always better. These giants were so specialized for megapora that they struggled when prey became scarce. Their size made them easier to track slower, to maneuver more vulnerable to coordinated human attacks. The archaeological record reveals region-Pacific human adaptations. North American sites show defensive structures designed for medium-sized predators, fatalist territory. South American sites feature more robust defenses, higher settlements, and evidence of larger hunting parties. Humans weren't using one-size-fits-all strategies. They were adapting to local threats. Temporal patterns are equally revealing. Gracillus disappeared first around 500,000 years ago, outcompeted by its larger relatives. This meant early humans faced an evolving threat, each new species bigger and more specialized than the last. But humans evolved faster culturally, developing new tactics for each new threat. The real game-changer was when humans learned to exploit interspecies competition. Fatalis and Populator had overlapping ranges in Central America. Territorial disputes between saber-toothed species created opportunities. Humans could avoid areas of conflict or scavenge casualties from these titanic battles. Extinction timing tells the final story. Despite size advantages, Populator lasted longest until 200 years ago in remote areas. Why? Because they lived in regions where human populations expanded latest. When humans finally arrived in force, even the 900-planet giant couldn't compete with coordinated intelligence. 13,000 years ago, the American landscape changed forever. Within a geological heartbeat, maybe 1,000 years, the mighty saber-toothed cats vanished. What force could erase predators that had ruled for millions of years? Look in the mirror. The extinction wasn't subtle. It was catastrophic. At Rancho La Brea, the fossil record shows saber-tooths, numerous until about 13,000 years ago. Then, nothing. No gradual decline. No lingering populations. One geological layer has abundant remains. The next is empty. This pattern repeats across North America with eerie consistency. Climate change played a role. The Younger Dryas brought rapid cooling, then warming. But saber-tooths had survived dozens of ice ages. What made this one different? The presence of a new super-predator that killed with brain instead of brawn. Homo sapiens. The smoking gun comes from population dynamics. In areas where humans arrived early, saber-tooths disappeared early. Where humans arrived late, saber-tooths lasted longer. The correlation is too perfect for coincidence. Map human expansion across the Americas, and you map saber-tooth extinction with uncanny accuracy. But humans didn't need to hunt every saber-tooth extinction. We just had to break their ecological niche. Saber-tooths required large prey at specific densities. When human hunting reduced mammoth and ground sloth populations below critical thresholds, the specialist predators starved. Generalist predators, like wolves and bears, survived. Specialists died. Fire-mediated landscape change accelerated the process. Humans used controlled burns to create grasslands favorable to human-preferred prey, like deer and rabbits. These fires destroyed the mixed woodlands where saber-tooths ambushed megaporna. We weren't just hunting them. We were terraforming their habitat out of existence. The speed suggests something more. Active extermination. When humans decide a predator is too dangerous to tolerate, that predators' days are numbered. Ask the wolves of medieval Europe or the tigers of ancient China. The same pattern played out in Platoan America. Systematic removal of perceived threats. The last saber-tooths died as they lived magnificently. Fossil evidence shows no signs of starvation or disease in final populations. They were healthy, well-fed predators that simply ran out of world. Their specialized perfection, honed over millions of years, couldn't adapt to a predator that changed tactics every generation. In evolutionary terms, it was checkmate in a game saber-tooths didn't know they were playing. The saber-tooth saga wasn't humanity's only predator problem. Across the Platoan world, our ancestors faced a murderous row of creatures that would make modern predators look tame. Each required unique strategies, but the underlying pattern remained. Brain beats brawn. Consider the cave bear, 500 kilograms of muscle and fury. Unlike saber-tooths, these omnivores competed directly with humans for cave shelters, the solution humans learned to attack during hibernation when bears were vulnerable. Archaeological sites show systematic clearing of caves generation after generation. We turned their greatest adaptation, winter sleep, into fatal weakness. Cave lions presented different challenges. These pack hunters were faster than saber-tooths, smarter, more adaptable. But they had one weakness: extreme territoriality. Humans learned to exploit territorial boundaries, moving through seams where different prides intersected. When forced to fight, humans used the same coordinated spear tactics that worked on saber-tooths, but with larger groups. The short-faced bear was North America's nightmare. 12 foot tall, standing upright, able to run 40 km/h. These 800-pound sprinters made saber-tooths look manageable. Human response: complete avoidance. Settlement patterns show humans simply didn't establish camps in short-faced bear territories until after their extinction. Sometimes the smart strategy is not to play, but the most relevant comparison comes from Eurasia, where Homotherium, the scimitar-toothed cat, presented similar challenges to Smile. European humans developed almost identical tactics: elevation advantage, fire barriers, coordinated spear defense. Convergent evolution of survival strategies across continents proves these weren't lucky accidents, but logical responses to similar threats. The pattern holds worldwide. When humans encountered Thylaulio in Australia, the marsupial lion they use, fire-driven landscape management against Megalania, the giant monitor lizard. They exploited the reptile's temperature sensitivity. Every predator had a weakness. Human genius lay in finding and exploiting it. Modern parallels are instructive. The Maasai coexisting with lions, Indian villagers managing tigers, Inuit navigating polar bear territories. All use strategies pioneered in the Pleistocene. Respect the predator, understand its behavior, exploit its weaknesses, maintain technological advantage. The playbook hasn't changed in 50,000 years. What made the saber-tooth victory special was its completeness. Other predators retreated, adapted, found niches. Saber-tooths, too, specialized to change, simply vanished. It was evolution's starkest lesson. In a changing world, the most fearsome predator is the one that can change fastest. And nothing changes faster than human culture. Stand in Los Angeles today, surrounded by freeways and skyscrapers, and it's hard to imagine saber-toothed cats stalking these grounds. But beneath the concrete lies proof, millions of bones testifying to an epic struggle our ancestors won through intelligence, cooperation, and relentless innovation. The victory wasn't inevitable. For every human who survived a saber-tooth encounter, others didn't. Their sacrifice taught lessons written in the DNA of survivors. We are here because our ancestors were smart enough to turn weakness into strength, fear into strategy, individual vulnerability into collective power. Consider what this victory required. Not just courage. Any animal can be brave when cornered. It demanded something unprecedented in nature, the ability to think beyond the moment. While saber-tooths remained locked in evolutionary patterns, humans invented new solutions daily. We were the first species to evolve culturally, faster than biologically. The tools of victory seem almost absurdly simple now. Fire, just oxidation. Spears, just pointed sticks. Group coordination, just communication. But combining these simple elements created something that transcended their parts. Technology, not single inventions, but systems of innovation that built on each other exponentially. This ancient triumph echoes through history. The same intelligence that outsmarted saber-tooths built civilizations, explored space, and decoded DNA. When modern humans face challenges, climate change, pandemics, social upheaval, we're using cognitive tools sharpened against plateauing predators. The specific threats change. The survival strategies remain remarkably constant. But perhaps the deepest lesson is about specialization versus adaptability. Smiley-On was evolution's masterpiece, perfectly designed for one role. When that role vanished, so did they. Humans were evolution's generalists, mediocre at everything, which made us capable of anything. In a changing world, perfection is a trap. Adaptability is survival. The final irony is profound. Those magnificent fangs that made saber-tooths apex predators for millions of years hang today in museums. Trophies of the physically weakest species ever to walk the earth. They remind us that in evolution's longest game, the race goes not to the swift or strong, but to the smart. Walk through any natural history museum, and you'll see children staring wide-eyed at Smilodon skeletons, imagining themselves facing down these monsters. They're unconsciously correct. Their ancestors did face them down and won. That victory wasn't just about surviving one predator. It was about becoming something new, a species that could rewrite the rules of predator and prey. In defeating the saber-toothed cat, we didn't just win a battle. We discovered that with intelligence, cooperation, and innovation, humans could win any battle nature threw at us. The saber-toothed cats are gone, but their greatest gift remains. They taught us we were capable of the impossible. In forcing us to evolve beyond our physical limitations, they helped create the species that would inherit the earth. Not bad for a bunch of weak, slow primates with no claws.